It is a great honor and privilege to have this most amazing reunion between Alex Rosen and Warren Green. So you go back more than 50 years.
Yes, more than that.
So if we can just start off with Warren, how did you contact me with regard to Alex?
Well, I was coming to Israel. I don't know how I knew, but I did know that Alex lived in Israel. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to catch up with him after all this time? And then my wife found the video. So we watched the video, which of course is very interesting. And once we saw that, I thought, definitely we must try and find him. And so we found him.
And what is your connection with Alex?
Well, my mother was a Rosen, right? And she was a cousin of Little Joe. I always knew him as Little Joe. I actually knew Little Joe before I knew Alex.
Little Joe's my father.
Yeah, because my grandmother lived with us, and Little Joe and his wife, was it Hannah, his wife? Annie. She used to come to Neasden, where we lived, to come and see my grandmother. And remember, Little Joe was very, very religious. My mum was religious, but Little Joe would never eat in my mum's house, and I could never quite understand why, because I thought my mum was the most religious person I've ever known. So anyway, one day, Little Joe comes along, and he's got a little boy with him. And he says, I've adopted this little boy. I think you must have been about 7, were you?
Yeah.
About 7. How old are you now?
81.
81, so I'm a little bit older than you. I'm 83.
Right.
So, and then I went over to number 1 Clapton Common with my mum, and saw Alex on a number of occasions. Unfortunately, she doesn't remember me, but I do remember him very well. And I went to his bar mitzvah, and I've never been that religious now. I remember Alex at his bar mitzvah went on and on and on and on. I thought, Alex, when are you going to stop this?
And Alex, you've got a picture of your bar mitzvah?
Yes.
Because your Hebrew was always much better than mine.
Wow. And Warren, you remember the bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
Were you in shul as well?
I don't know if I was in shul, but he had it in a hall somewhere.
Yeah, I had it in the hall. What, the reception?
And you had the reception. But at the reception, you went on to a lot of Hebrew at the reception.
Yeah, because I had to have a speech, and then my rabbi was there,
yeah.
So I had to give out Dvar Torah.
Yeah.
So that's why it was a little long. But
And Alex, what is your recollections? Did you know? Do you remember Warren's family?
My parents.
Oh, this is your parents.
Bar mitzvah.
This is at your bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
So when you look at the picture, you remember?
I remember that extremely well. Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember Little Joe very well. And
See, you're a relative then.
Well, my mum was a Rosen.
Yeah, but was she?
How
was she related?
I've got
the family tree. I've got a family tree.
Yeah.
So this is you. This is your father.
Yeah.
Joe.
That's right.
Right. And then this is Warren's line, and that was Warren's grandfather. So your grandfather, Velvel Rosen, was Warren's grandfather.
So it is a direct relation.
Yes. You both come from Velvel and Basha, which
yes.
are these are the great grandparents.
So this is your biological.
Well, Warren's biological.
It's Alex adopted.
Alex is adopted.
But this is your biological.
Yes,
These are my grandparents?
great grandparents.
Yeah.
So this is Little Joe's parents?
This is Little Joe's great grandparents.
Yeah.
Like your Velvel. No. Yes. No. Sorry. This is your great grandparents, right? And
when you say your, you mean me or?
no, Warren's great grandparents, and Yisrael and Moshe, who was your
grandfather. Yeah.
were brothers.
It's amazing.
So
Yeah.
Very
close. Very close.
Sure.
I mean, I'll leave this with you because this is all the family tree.
You might be interested in
It's
that.
all the family going back. It tells you all about them. Basically, who's related to whom,
Right.
and where they were born in. Most of them in Belarus. And
Do you remember Hilka Cohen?
Of course.
right.
Well, Hilka.
We used to go twice a week.
Well, you might be
right.
interested in this.
So this.
Hilka wrote his life story. He wrote it in Yiddish, but it's been translated into English.
Yeah. I know he wrote it.
Yeah.
You knew he wrote it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got it.
The chap who done all the research is actually Hilka's great-granddaughter's husband, who did all the work, who did all this research.
Hilke's.
Great-granddaughter's
Great-granddaughter.
husband.
What's his name?
His name? What was his name? Do you remember Hilda? Remember Frida?
Frida Richards.
Actually, I was going to come to that. The last time I saw you...
These are cousins.
Yeah. The last time I saw you was at Raynham Cemetery, and you were officiating at Anne Cummins.
That's right.
And you were a rabbi by this
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Who
I think Cyril got you to do it, didn't he?
Cyril, yes.
I remember Cyril telling me.
Yeah.
That you were going
They
to
were
officiate.
absolutely wanted me to officiate.
That's right.
Well, because first of all I was a member of the family,
That's right.
and then I used to see Cyril quite often, and Sydney.
Yeah, in Sydney, of course.
Sydney.
Yeah.
These were all direct relations.
Yeah. Because,
It's amazing.
Hilka was related to quite a famous rabbi,
You remember his wife's name?
Bela.
Bear, good boy.
Bela is my grandfather's sister.
Yeah. Do you hear the certificate?
This is really incredible. This is something.
But I've got a better memory than you, Phil.
It depends. Which side of the world you're talking about.
Of course, I knew Little Joe, and then, as I say, when Little Joe turned up with you, it was a bit of a surprise. I know my mum was surprised.
These were my parents when they were young. Joe, Little Joe, as you call him.
Why did he have the nickname Little Joe?
Because there was a big Joe.
Yeah. There was another Joe Rosen. Joe Rosen was my grandfather. The other Joe Rosen was my grandfather's brother, and he must have. I've never met him. He died before I was born, but he must have been much bigger than Little Joe. But everybody knew him as Little Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but my mum said, "Little Joe and Annie are coming."
Alice, can we see the picture?
Yeah, sure. This is when they were young.
I have to say, we had lovely parents. They were lovely.
They were angels. They were really angels.
When you were young.
Well, that was
Maybe.
even lovely.
Maybe that was him when he was young. No.
But at this age, did you know me?
Yeah. Yes, you must
How
have.
old was I there then? You didn't say.
10.
10. Yeah.
I knew you, yes.
Yeah.
I knew you then.
Now I look at it, you look familiar. Yeah.
Do you remember coming to Neasden?
Man, sure.
Yeah, well, that's where we lived.
Several times.
Yeah, you came, you saw my grandmother.
Several times,
Well,
sure.
that's your mother.
Alice, can we see this picture?
That's it.
That's
This is you, and you were around 10 at this time. in this picture?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's him. That's my mother.
That's your great grandfather. That's Belville.
That's
Wolf.
Belville Rosen.
That's Wolf Rosen.
Wolf Rosen. Belville.
Yeah, we called him Belleville.
Belville. And Warren's named after him because his name's Wolf Warren.
Yeah, my name's actually Wolf.
Amazing.
I don't use the name Wolf, it's not a very English name, but
This is amazing. And you named after...
after Belville, for Wolf.
Wolf.
Shushu. And you see, his name was also Rosen with
Rosen.
iron.
Iron, yes.
Like my father.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm told, I don't know how true this is, but I'm told that Mendel, when he first, Mendel was quite a wonderful man, as you probably know.
Of course.
And he started everybody off, and your father actually lived with Mendel for a while.
Mendel brought my father over from Russia
That's
and took
right.
him into the business.
Yeah.
Mendel Rosen had a bakery shop, several bakery
He was an
shops,
entrepreneur.
and my father at the time, he was 18. His parents were very poor. His father was a rabbi, but he earned a very small salary. So my father decided at the age of 18 that he would come to England and work, and Mendel Rosen brought him over, and then he used to send the money to his parents in Russia. This is a. Do you remember this?
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
That's my little Joe's parents.
Parents, amazing.
That's an amazing
My brother's
picture,
parents.
Alice. She actually looks quite a bit like my mother, that one.
This is Annie. This
That
is
was
my mother.
Oh, that's Annie.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, I never knew at that age, obviously.
Angela, can we just show this picture?
Yes, of course I can.
So Alex, this is a picture of...
This is my father's parents.
Parents.
And grandparents.
So it's your
Grandparents.
your grandparents. Yeah.
His as well.
Yes, yours as well.
And they came from Belarus?
Amazing.
Yes.
Belarus. They came from.
They were on the border, weren't they?
They
Ukraine
came from a
and
place called
Belarus,
Dubranka.
It's actually very near Chernobyl.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, that's amazing. So that's this picture, isn't it? That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. It's the same. This is the Warren.
That is him.
That's him.
That is him.
And you've never seen this picture
No,
before?
never seen this picture. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to take a picture of this because you've not got.
Have you seen it?
It was in your book.
No, but that one.
She's taking a picture.
I'm going to just take a picture of it.
Yeah. Take a picture of this.
This is something unbelievable.
It is. Well, I'm glad I made the efforts, to find Alex.
Can I just ask, while we're waiting, how did you get to see my video of Alex?
Well, when we said we were coming to Israel, I said to my wife, I believe my cousin lives there. So she started looking it up. And somewhere, how did you find the video?
I just put the name in and it came up on YouTube, and we sat there for 3 hours. We watched it and couldn't believe it. And I said, Warren then said, it'd be amazing if we could get in touch. Those.
Yeah.
And then you sent an email and you made
I
this
just sent an
connection.
email and that was.
And you didn't know if Alex was still alive even?
No idea. We had
You
no
had lost
idea.
contact.
What, 50?
50 years.
Over 50 years.
As I said, the last time was at Raynham Cemetery.
It's a pity that you lost contact. It's such a...
How did we lose contact? You do lose contact, don't you, with family?
Well, thank God you've reunited.
I mean,
It's incredible.
Yeah, let me check. You're giving this to me or what? Or you're keeping it?
No, I have to keep them. I haven't got I could take copies. I'll take copies and I'll send them to you.
Give me, I'll make a copy.
You make a copy. Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, nice.
Please take them.
This is. She's the best girl in this Israel.
I mean,
I didn't know you were back then until I saw the video. You know, I knew you'd come over from Germany. I thought you came
Not
from
Germany, from
Poland.
I thought it was but I didn't know the history. It's only looking at the video.
How did you get the video?
Well, as I say, Angela,
I just found it on YouTube.
I think I must have said to Angela, we're going to Israel. I wonder if Alex is still alive, basically.
Well, that's how it came about. So I was looking to see if you were still alive, and I saw this YouTube, so I put it on and watched. Yeah, that's him.
Alex, I got an email where they asked me, they saw the video and they said, is Alex still alive? And I said, very much so.
Yeah.
And they said that they're coming for the Maccabi games, and we said, well, you're only in Jerusalem for one day.
24, not even 24 hours.
Well, yeah, because our daughter's competing in Haifa.
Yeah.
So we're going on to Haifa.
What we're doing now is the most amazing.
So we're only here for a short time.
How did you come to them?
They wrote an email to me because they saw the video.
I saw the video.
Oh.
And they contacted me, and they didn't know that you were alive. And
I'm not. Yeah. So
you must have been very happy with the reply of the email.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I got the reply.
And then we were in touch on the WhatsApp and we spoke.
And that's that's how. I mean, this time last week I'd been no contact. It wasn't until it was Friday actually. I said, because you said I'll speak to you after the Shabbos.
Yeah.
And that was the last time. That was a week ago. And because we were out with friends last Thursday evening, and I was mentioning this story, and I said it'd be lovely to see if we could see him, but I don't know how to get in contact. Next thing, we're here.
And we're here.
Just before Shabbat, I saw the email. Literally before my wife was lighting candles, and I thought I must just quickly write to you to say that I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah.
And look at that.
There's a message. Shushu. They saw the video. That they didn't know Les.
And it's from the video.
It's amazing what you can find on the internet.
Can I ask, did you ever hear of Rabbi Schoenfeld, Solomon Schoenfeld?
Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
No, not until you saw the video.
What, in London you never heard of Rabbi Schoenfeld?
No.
I'm amazed. Because he brought me over.
He brought you over to Israel?
No, to England.
Yes. He came to Poland in 1947 and together with the rabbi of a very important rabbi called Regina Rabbi.
And these people survived the war?
In Poland. He came, first of all he came in 1946, first time, and he managed to trace I think some 65 children, and then he brought them to London. A year later, he went back to Poland, and with another rabbi who another rabbi called Rabbi Rothfeld. They went around Poland, and they managed to find 130 orphans.
Amazing.
I was a hidden child in a Catholic family from the age of 1 till 6.5. And then this Rabbi Rothfeld, he came into my house, Catholic house, and he took me out, and he took me to his house, and I stayed there for 6 months. And then Rabbi Schoenfeld came in 1947, and we together, and they found all these 130 children. And then Rabbi Schoenfeld said, he bought a boat, a ship, like a small ship, and he took us all 130 children to London. And in London he bought a very big centre, and we lodged there, we ate there, and of course as soon as he brought us over, he put an announcement in the Jewish Chronicle that 130 orphans have come from Poland, and those wishing to adopt, this is the phone number, this is the address, and listen. So each day we were there, and each day we saw people coming and schlepping away a girl or boy, And I was left among the last 5. And I said to myself, I remember even the singer said to myself, what's wrong with me that nobody wants me? Everybody's, all the 130 practically have gone.
Yeah, must have thought that. Yeah.
So I said, what can be so wrong with me? Am I so ugly that nobody wants me? And then eventually, a shopper came into the room and said, Alex, stand up. This lady is taking you home. And that's how I. That's how I.
So you ended up in Clapton Hall.
But what? It wasn't my mother, my future mother. It was her sister.
Oh, right.
Because my mother and father had, first of all, he had 3 sisters in America.
Okay.
So they were on holiday in America. But before they left, they said to, Annie said to her sister Minnie, I want you to pick up a boy, keep him till we come back from the States. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
She took me and she took me to the house for 3 weeks, and then eventually I came to Clapton Common.
And Warren, your parents never told you the story? They didn't know?
No, I never knew it until I saw your video. I didn't know Alex's background at all. But I knew he'd come from Eastern Europe. I must admit, I thought he was from Germany, but I knew he'd come out of survived the Nazis, which was a feat on its own.
Yeah.
Not many people did survive it.
And then you heard about Alex's sister that they couldn't bring them.
Yes.
And the miracle that Alex saw her before she died.
Yeah, you've had an amazing life, Alex. You really have. Yeah.
Yes. Can't say that again.
Not normal.
No.
Can I just ask you something?
Sure.
The guy that did this family tree, his name's Rennie Regatta, and he lives in Vancouver. And your great grandfather, Moishe, he got married 3 times.
That's right.
And he divorced, according to him, he said he divorced his second wife. Was that right, or?
Yes,
It was very unusual to divorce in 1800 and odd.
But obviously he had to divorce from British point of view.
Right.
He couldn't marry without being divorced.
Well, right, okay, but it's unusual to divorce, isn't it?
Interesting thing, Les, that one of the wives that my grandfather married was the daughter
Yes.
of the old Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. The Rappaports.
Yeah, Hannah Rappaport.
Hannah Rappaport.
She was the daughter of the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Yes.
And my grandfather that married her.
We were in St. Petersburg, and we had somebody taking us around, a guy taking us around, and I mentioned to him that I was a descendant of Zalman, and he was quite. I said, my God, I never thought I'd meet a descendant. And then he showed me he was imprisoned in St. Petersburg.
Yes.
And I believe his son was also in prison there in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And he showed me the prison where he was imprisoned.
Amazing.
So all the information that Rennie had got, it's all correct.
He's done a lot.
He's done a lot of work.
I had a little connection with Rennie.
Oh, did you?
Yes, through a cousin of mine,
Right.
called Ashi Novik.
That doesn't ring a bell with you.
Well, she was her mother was my father's sister.
Right.
She was called Gussie. I don't think you'll have it. You won't have it on there.
Well, if it's your father's sister.
My father had 3 sisters,
Right. Okay.
all in America.
Right. The 3 that were in sister. Oh, right.
They
yes.
left Russia and went directly to the States.
To the States. Yes.
They
it
didn't want to
says.
come to England. He had a brother and 3 sisters in the States.
Right. Okay.
and one of them, called Gussie, she had a daughter called Ashley, and Rene got the information about me, and he gave it from Ashley.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So that's how. Of course, I met Ashley. First of all, they came to our house. Gussie and her husband. They came to our house several times from the States, and Ashley came as well. And I had a lot of contact with Ashley, because Gussie I didn't see very often, because they said we didn't go very often to the States.
Right.
Certainly not I.
No.
And but when was it? In 2002, I saw my cousin Gussie and Ashley for the last time. She was at the time she was 93. Yeah, and she gave me a lot of information about my parents from her. There were a lot of things that were missing gaps, and she filled all the gaps in. So that's how I know Rene.
Because he got the information.
He got the information from her.
Yeah. I mean,
he's done
so much work. I mean, hasn't he?
I've never met them.
No, neither we. No. You knew his mother-in-law.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, you know Frida Richards, her daughter Sandra. This Rene is married to Sandra's.
These are granddaughters of
Yeah.
Yes.
Of Frida.
Frida
Frida
Richards, yeah.
Richards. Frida Karen, as she was.
Yeah. Frida, she used to come to our house.
Yeah.
We went to her house pretty often, and yeah. And then what's her name? Anne Cummings' daughter.
Josephine. And Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are all
I've lost contact with these people. We did come across Barbara once, didn't we, years ago?
We did.
So, we were at a do, and somehow we got talking.
I lost contact because I left England for almost 4 years. I went to Scotland.
So you went to work in Scotland?
I went to work in Scotland, and so I had lost some contact.
Where did you work in Scotland?
Glasgow.
Does her father come from Glasgow?
Yeah.
I don't know whether you would have known that her father was a Finiston. So Monty Finiston.
Depends which school. I was in Queen's Park in Glasgow.
You were the rabbi?
Yes.
Yes.
My assistant.
Yes, but then they were there a long time ago. They were there in 1940s.
No, you wouldn't have.
Warren.
Not before
They all left after the war.
Monty became quite famous. He became chairman of the British Steel Corporation, and he was knighted.
Very nice.
So Finistons were quite well known in Glasgow.
They still are. There's a bridge, a Finiston Bridge.
Where do you live in London? We still live in London?
Oh yeah. Well, we're just outside London. We're just on the borders of London. We're actually about 100 yards into Hertfordshire, and it's bushy.
Oh, you actually live in Bushy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not far from the cemetery.
Not far from it, no.
Walking distance.
You must have been down.
I officiated there several times.
It was actually United Synagogue, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were more Federation.
Federation.
Yeah.
Difference between Federation and United. Do you know the difference, Les?
Not really.
Federation was started up. United Synagogues has been in existence for many years. In fact, I think one of the Lord Rothschild, I think he started off. But Federation was a little group of Polish people, religious people, who came to London. When they came to London, and being very religious, and they saw United Synagogue, they said, this is not for us. They walked into a United Synagogue, and they said, they almost said they were halbe goyim. So they said this is not for us. So they got this had that little group, and they decided to form themselves. They had sufficient numbers to formed themselves into a union, and they called themselves Federation. And they were very religious, and then eventually it spread like United Synagogue had many branches. The Federation also started off with this little group, but eventually more Polish people came over, and from Hungary, from Romania, and it became quite a large group as well. That was really the difference between Federation and United.
And when you were a rabbi, for which federation did you?
Well, in Glasgow there was no such thing as Federation or United. They were independent. Of course, in London, there you had the difference. You had United Synagogue and Federation.
Did you work for both?
I worked for both, yes. And
all the Rosens were involved in the Federation, weren't they?
That's
the
right.
Federation.
My parents' family were all
Federation. Yeah.
My father was the governor of Springfield Shul.
Right.
I don't know if you know Springfield Shul.
I don't know it. No.
Well, he was the governor. He was also governor in another shul called Lampard Grove,
Which is in
Stamford Hill.
In Stamford Hill.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was a very big shul, and he was the governor there as well. He was a Shabbos Gabbai and a weekday Gabbai. Because we had a shul which was called Springfield Shul because it was next to Springfield Park. So it's called Springfield Shul. And that was just across the road to us. That's where I used to go every morning to dine with my father.
It's amazing, Alex, that you, without a lot of Jewish backgrounds, when you came to live with little Joe and Anna, how you took to the religion that I know little Joe they were very religious, I do know that, but the fact that you took to it as well, they must have been very proud that...
I took to it because I had such tremendous love from them.
Yeah.
They were so warm that soon as in the first Shabbos I was there, I saw what wonderful, warm people they were, loving, and they're so warm to me. So I said to myself, I've gone through this. I've been handed over from one to another, but eventually I've come home to love and warmth, and I said. It came naturally to me. My father and mother never said to me, "Oh, you got to do this. You got to be religious like us." Nothing at all. He was a man who had never forced anything on anyone. And so therefore, I used to go to shul with him every morning and in the evening, we lived. We were surrounded by, when I lived in Stamford Hill, we were surrounded by several different... Sorry about it.
So you were in Stamford Hill?
I lived, yes, when I came, my parents lived in Stamford Hill, and with a very, very big house.
I remember the house very well.
There were five
next to the pond.
No, it wasn't next to the pond.
This is a different one, a different house.
And
well, what address in Stamford Hill? Do you remember the address?
Address? Sure. It was called number 1, Clipton Common, E5. Because why was it called Common? Because there was a pond.
That's what I said to you. Next to the pond.
Well, it's about 5 minutes from
us.
It
wasn't far.
And we were surrounded by at least 5 different Hasidim. In every road you had at least one steeple of a different Ger, Babich, and so on. And but having been surrounded by all these Hasidim, I went to, first of all, I went to a very religious school. My father put me straight away in school, which were very religious.
What was the name of the school?
Yesod HaTorah. Yesod HaTorah. It means the foundation of Torah.
Right.
And being in the school and having very religious friends, so of course I grew up like that.
Yes.
And I loved it. For me, it was. I knew nothing else.
No. Well, as I say, they must have been delighted that you talked to us so much.
My parents, of course, they were very proud. They're very. I tried to make them as proud as I possibly could, and I hope that I'm right.
I'm sure
Are you listening?
I'm sure they were very
I
proud.
hope you're listening.
But
Forgive me for anything else.
And Alex, when you decided to go into the rabbinate, you must have been delighted as well.
Because in this first one, where in the shul, I was the rabbi of the shul. From the age of 10, I used to try and involve myself in the shul. We came to the month of Elul, just a month before Rosh Hashanah. The rabbi blew the shofar, and I don't know why. My curiosity said to me, "Why don't you try it?" So I asked the rabbi, do you mind if I try the shofar? He said, "Of course." I tried the shofar several times, then nothing happened, and then eventually a sound came out.
It's not easy.
And I used to, every year I used to try and blow it. And so that was it. Then my father, right from the age of 10, he taught me how to read the Torah. I didn't have a rabbi to teach me bar mitzvah. He taught me from the Tamim how to read the notes, and from then on I taught myself. And of course, with all these things, I just loved it. And there was nothing to say to me, "Oh, listen, I also had non-Jewish friends, and I had non-religious friends as well." But I always stayed religious. And I said that's what I want. That's my life, and that's, I think, what my real parents, who I never knew, I'm sure that's what they would have wanted me to do, and that's why I always did it and followed the same path. But they were wonderful. They had no children, but in fact they adopted. They're not without adopting. They brought up 2 girls from little right up to marriage. And
I didn't know that.
But he never adopted them. He just looked after them, and he kept them, and then they went away. This was just before I came on the scene. And of course, when I came on the scene, they were very happy to have a boy. And of course, my father must have been happy that he was hopeful that I would follow in his footsteps, in the same as being as formed like himself.
Which he did.
Do you know who the girls were that they?
No. He told me all about them. He said that they stayed with them quite a number of years. In fact, he actually did their marriage, paid for their marriage. But he was very, very disappointed, because after they married, they went away and never ever came back.
And you never heard them?
And I never saw them.
No, I didn't know that story.
Your mum didn't know, Warren's mum, your mother didn't know and tell you that story?
Well, she probably did know,
You were
but
too young,
we
you don't
never,
remember
we
that.
never told them.
But my parents as well, because my father, I don't know if you know this, my mother, and she had a sister called Minnie.
Yes, I know that. Yes.
You know?
Yes. She lived in the house, didn't she?
She was married to a guy called Max Gold, but he wasn't, unfortunately, I don't want to say Lashon Hara, but the marriage wasn't a very good marriage. And first of all, the daughter called Betty, because he wasn't religious, So my father said, listen, Betty, and because Betty wanted to be religious, their daughter, she wants to be religious on their own. So my father said, listen, come to us every Shabbos, every Yom Tov, and everybody in the district thought that was my sister, because she was so often with me, and and then eventually, because my aunt, she divorced, so my father said, listen, why don't you come and live in our house? And that's how she came, till my father died. My father died at the age of 81. My mother was shown, she died in 1967.
Actually, when your mother died, I brought my mother to Clapton Common, to the Shiva.
Yeah.
I actually did. I remember you had a room downstairs.
That's right.
Which you had the Shiva.
You got a good memory.
It's amazing. Sure, this is incredible.
I've got a ridiculous memory for things in the past.
But this is so important.
Yeah.
It's so good that you have
But
a
as I
memory of
say, what happened a few days ago, I don't remember. I said to friends, what did we do last Wednesday? I'm writing my diary up, and I can't remember.
Do you remember what you had for breakfast this morning?
I do remember that.
That wasn't very long ago.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
But because you knew you're coming here, you've been thinking a little bit more.
I've been thinking about it, yes. I have been thinking about it.
And it's been coming your memory, it's been
Yes.
jolting your memory a bit, hasn't it?
Yes.
You know, that's Sippy recently, her sister came from America, and her sister has traced, Sippy, tell Les.
My sister likes genealogy, and another cousin here in Israel who we
it doesn't matter.
know also is into genealogy, and they traced my grandmother's family. We found many relatives who are here in Israel.
And you never knew from
Never
before?
knew any of them. My grandmother thought everybody was killed.
Wow.
She came here before the war. She got here to America before the war, and she thought everybody was killed. We never knew she had any relatives. She died not knowing that two of her brothers and her sister made it out.
It's amazing.
Right. My grandfather, we can't find anybody. We think everybody was wiped out. But with my grandmother, we found the lovely people. They're here from B'nai Brak and all over. And my father's family also, we found some people living here. And they all we had a big reunion in the Imbal Hotel.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can find today, isn't it? With DNA and...
That was very nice.
So I just want to really thank you. I'm just going to come around here. Sure. This is for me being so between Warren and Alex, but really I just want to thank you both, and I'm just so grateful that you made this reunion and that I'm a little bit involved in it. And Alex, there's no one like Alex. Alex is unique, and I'm just so positive. And Alex, you're just such an example for all of us. And I'm so glad that you got together. And please God,
I'm glad I did.
We're not going to wait another 50 years for the next reunion, but you should just be in touch with each other. But it's been wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah.
No,
well, thank you for organising this.
I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, and that you contacted me. I'm so grateful.
Yes. Well, it was just amazing that you answered and this is we're here now.
But Angela, it was wonderful. Your email that I got just before Shabbat, I was so happy with, and anything to do with Alex and Tsipi, your wonderful wife, and just I'm so glad that you're all together, and you should just keep this contact. This is just again, it's not only a reunion. We
haven't got a lot longer to keep in contact, have we?
You must continue this very, very deep friendship of family.
Her sister also, just from an email, no, David? She traced all these people just from an email.
Yes.
Well, what I'm happy about is that we did the video.
Yeah.
Who would have known, Alex, when we did that video?
We done it.
But who would have known that? Who would have known from that video that you'd be meeting relatives 50 years later?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you should just enjoy your time in Israel
Thank you.
and
Thank
enjoy
you.
your.
Well, we're looking forward to watching our granddaughter compete, obviously.
What is she competing in?
Netball.
Well, she should just do well, and I hope you all continue this wonderful relationship. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you for organising it.
all your
I mean,
work.
yeah.
It's the greatest honor and
And
privilege.
how you
really.
managed to find all these people to interview.
It's just a very
I
big
watched
stretch.
many of your interviews on YouTube.
It's very kind of you. All the best. Be well.
Yeah.
Thank you.